To West Wednesday. This is West Wednesday number 494. We are calling for justice for all victims of police violence. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check. Good evening, everybody. I'm Nicole Pettiford, and tonight I'm hosting in Tawanda Jones' place because she had to take care of something else. Tonight we're going to have the video that we always show in the beginning to let everyone know exactly why we're here and what we stand for. I'm going to bring Ben on now so he can play the video, and when I come back, I can let you guys know what will be talked about next. Mic check.
Mic check.
Can't stop. Won't stop. Till killer cops are in cell blocks. Can't stop.
The following newly released video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up.
No, why you want to talk to me? Why would you say that?
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz. In a newly released video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one. Concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly. Picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, I said, what's wrong with it? Improper wear with it. There's no such thing as improper wear.
You gonna tell me my job, bro?
I know the law.
Are you gonna tell me the law?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the law?
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration?
Yeah, let me get it up.
Profile, y'all use the seatbelt as a reason. Profile.
Do me a favor, take out your keys.
Yeah, you can record for what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call a supervisor? I'm about to do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah?
And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we are getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardes Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July the 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 to 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they could never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Mic check, mic check. We have also had Tawanda and Linda and Brian join us. Mic check.
Mic check. The original host of West Wednesday, which is my queen sister, Tawanda West, she has joined us. I just wanted to say briefly before she comes on that this is week 494. This has gone on too long for us to still be asking for accountability for our loved ones. It is the time right now that we need the help and the support of not only the communities, but also the elected officials who have a higher standard that they should be held to, that they should be helping us to figure out a way to stop this police brutality against our families, against our loved ones. It is sick, it is sad. And what they fail to realize is that you're not exempt from this either. You dress up in your nice fancy suits and your beautiful dresses, but when is it going to be that time when you're going to the store, when you're walking down the street, and you don't have your badge on and say that you are this important person that sits in this office, and you get one of these killer cops, one of these sickos who might know who you are, but for the simple fact that they don't like what you do, harass you. How would you feel if it was one of your family members that you were on here discussing about their lives being stolen from them when it wasn't time for them to go? They didn't deserve the treatment that they got from the Baltimore City Police Department. It's sad and it's sick. I am not only a person on here speaking about, I'm also a family member that has been impacted by police brutality on two different levels. First, my father-in-law, Anthony Anderson, was killed by the Baltimore City Police Department in 2012. They beat him to death. And they didn't even let anybody know or even let him know who they were. They snuck up behind this man and hoisted him over top of their head. And the end result, dropping him on his head with blunt force trauma. He had broken ribs. He had a ruptured spleen. And then you try to tell these lies and say that this man was trying to pass drugs off to someone else. When that was debunked and you realize that this was not true and we could prove this, then you try to say that he tried to swallow the drugs. The medical examiner, they redeemed it as a homicide top because there were no drugs to say that this has got to stop. It's one thing that we always say on here every week, and I want to bring awareness to it, and I want to change it. We're not all we have, and we're not all we need. It is other families out here that are suffering and going through the same things that we are going through, but they are afraid to step forward because they don't know whether or not they have the people to back them up. I am here letting you know right now, I am Nicole Pettiford. I can't stop and I won't stop, and none of us can stop. None of us won't stop until these killer cops are in cell blocks. They don't need to just sit home and get a paycheck for taking our lives. They need to be reprimanded for the things that they do, because if the shoe was on the other foot and we were to take one of their lives, they would throw us under the jail. They should be held to the same standards as individuals and citizens walking around the street. My daughter, Ajay Harad, was also a victim. She was murdered behind the police bringing her to the Baltimore City Police Department, and they rendered her as a snitch because they took her down there and questioned her about a murder, and she really didn't know anything that was going on. And with that being said, my daughter was 16 years old and they took her away from me. So I've been on both sides of the street. I understand how this works on either side. Either our loved one taken away from us directly by the police or indirectly by the things that you say in your actions and the things that you do that will end up in the result of our family members being taken away from us. I am here and I am here to stay. And I'm not going anywhere. We will get victory in the end. We will not stop this fight until there's nothing left to fight. And with that being said, I want to bring on the original host, Tawanda Jones. Thank you, Tawanda, for allowing me to step in and speak for you for the moment that you couldn't be here. Mic check.
Mic check. Can y'all hear me?
Mic check. Yes, we can.
Yes.
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 All right. So first of all, I'm not going to be, because I'm at the emergency room with my daughter. She took a real bad fall doing cheer practice. Dedicated to West Wednesday. I literally had to come on here one time when my cousin was murdered. I ain't going to hear from my own sick kid. But I just wanted to thank you guys for tuning in. I want this coalition for holding it down, and I'm about to run back inside of the emergency. So if you pray, keep my daughter in prayers. If you don't pray, that's fine. I just wanted to let you guys know that this is how serious that the West is. You know, we are everyday people. Things happen. You know, things, all that unseen, all that happen. And you know, it's nothing that we can do with it but fighter. And as my Queen Nicole said, we're not going anywhere. We didn't never signs up to be in a club that nobody wants to be in. But I'm just here that I love you guys. Thank you guys so much. And again, keep my baby, and took a real bad fall doing cheer practice. So just remember, love to live. I love you guys all, and I will be tuning back in later. Thank you. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
That was our lovely Queen, Tawanda Jones. She is the sister of Tyrone West. She is the reason why we have West Wednesday, to uphold not only Tyrone, but the rest of the victims of police brutality, whether they are still alive or they just have us on here because they have family members that are fighting for them and having a voice for them because they are no longer here to speak on the behalf of their loved ones. I also have on here tonight my sister Angela. She's going to be on here speaking about her brother, Timothy Fleming. And without further ado, I want to bring her on right now. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
You hear me? Yes.
So I'm actually, I don't actually want to per se talk about my brother. He'll talk about his son, which is his son's birthday today. His son Timothy, about 14 years old today, man, as we call him. He has autism spectrum, you know, so, you know, but he's been having a pretty good week. He's been doing a Special Olympics, doing bowling with his school and different. So I just want to keep his kids lifted up in prayer. They're still in that horrible home was murdered in. Just to give people a little backdrop of what happened. As my sister said, I'm Angela, the sister of Timothy Flynn. My brother was murdered by 2 Baltimore City police officers in his home, May 16, 2021, and his family is still there in the home. And like I said, his son has autism spectrum, and it's hard for him because he's still waiting for daddy to come home, even though he haven't seen daddy. That's what the autism spectrum does for a child like him. And it's very difficult and it's heartbreaking and it's hard. But like I said, he's been doing pretty good lately. He have a lot of hard days, difficult days. One that was always able to keep him grounded and calm. Just always doing different things with him, taking him out to the park. Whenever man he want to go to the park or the playground, that's where my brother. It didn't matter with my brother if he wanted to do whatever. My brother was there for it. Because that's what he was. He was a dad to his kids. He was a father. Took care of his children. And like I say, they're just still there. And I just pray that they will get out of that house soon. It'll be 2 years coming in May. We still don't even have an autopsy report for my brother. They did close the case and tell us that they're not going to fire cops, but I was kind of expecting that. But I have some things that I'm working on. So know that it's over for me and my family as far as the prosecuting the cops, and because I'm here for the duration. I'm not going anywhere. And again, I just pray, just keep my nephews in, because they're still in that home, and it's awful to have kids in a home where their father was at, and they have to live still day by day. It's torture. Like I say, they have good days, they have bad days. They've had a lot of bad days. So the few good days they have, I am just overjoyed with the few days that they have. So instead, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you, Angela. And I also want to say happy birthday to your nephew. I also want to let everyone know that we are lifting up prayers for Tawanda, because as she spoke on her daughter having a bad fall when she was at cheerleader practice. At this moment, I don't know if people worship God, if you pray, if you don't pray, bring positive energy to this West Wednesday live streaming. We want to take 2 minutes just to put out positive energy, to put out prayers for our family and our loved ones and the host of this show, and just to let everyone know that we are here. If you need us, if you need to speak to us, you can get in touch with us through West Wednesday to go on to Wanda Jones' page and speak with her directly, and she will let you know how to become a member and how to get on West Wednesday and put it out there about how the police have impacted your family as well. So right now we're going to take 2 minutes just to send positive energy on the things that are going on right now. Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you. At this moment, I want to bring on my sister Hillary, and she has a couple of things that she wants to put out there and discuss. So if we can give her the floor for a couple of minutes. Hillary, you can speak now. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Hillary, are you with us? We can't hear you.
Nicole, it looks like Hillary's frozen. Would you like to go to Linda and come back to Hillary?
Yes, I will do that. I will go to Linda and let her speak first while Hillary is trying to see what her technical difficulties are right now. So at this moment, Linda, you have the floor. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you. I'm down here in Prince area, and we've been heavily influenced in our struggles around police brutality. So to even just jump on for a few minutes, there are two Carones in the DC died from violence. One was a long-term struggle for the folks since 2020, of course. About 2.5 Hilton Brown. He was killed by DC police who was on a motorcycle, and in trying to escape them, he was the police officer who and found guilty of second-degree murder. So we're hopeful that we can get justice for Tyrone, but justice has been achieved for Carone. You know, suffered tremendously, and a lot of people, and you know, supported this struggle and Harriet's wildest dreams, and facing the court system. And this sort of leads me to a young man who was, well, 13-year-old teenager who was just killed. It's evolving. This just happened this week. But he was at night, maybe with some other, possibly, maybe, street, and a resident came out and then killed him with his gun with 3 shots. In our communities in DC and Prince George's County, and we're watching this case very closely. So shooting, clearly the person had some job privilege regardless of race. They are saying he's African who actually shot this person because the police are not even, the lives of our young people are very much at risk. Recklessly in putting people on the street. These struggles are continues interested in some of our stuff with Harriet's Wildest Release and the PPG Coalition, closely following all of these events, but we have been hurt by the steadfastness of West Wednesday. So thank you, and that's it. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, I want to check back with Hillary and see if she's able to come on and speak. And if she can't, I want to move on to bring Brian on here so he can give us this sad list of the people that have lost their lives. Mic check.
Mic check.
Hillary, are you with us?
Hillary has joined. I see that she has full bars, but I'm not seeing her camera or mic on yet.
Okay. Well, I will come back again and ask again whether or not she's able to join and speak. But at this time, I'm going to introduce my brother Brian and have him to come on to read this disgustingly sad list. Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, this is my sad duty here in West Wednesday to read a list of people who died this week in Baltimore by homicide. And we uphold these names because these are people who lost their lives, even if they didn't lose their lives to police, they lost their lives to a system that police are the heart and soul of. And so we remember them and we lift their names up. And so if you would just echo their names back to me after I read them out here. Danita Dorsey, 16.
Danita Dorsey, 16.
Kevin Evans, no age given.
Kevin Evans.
Justin Davis, 32.
Justin Davis.
Justin Davis, 32.
Corey Hopkins, 39.
Corey Hopkins.
Corey Hopkins, 39.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. As I was saying before, we should not have to come on here every week with different names of people who have lost their lives to police brutality. We have got to do better than what we're doing. We have got to get these communities involved in what we're doing and what we're speaking on. We have to step up to the plate and let them know that we are here for them, no matter what the situation is, no matter how difficult and scary this situation is. This is something that has to be addressed directly. We cannot hide anymore. We cannot hide. We have to hit this full force. We have to get out here and not just talk about it, but show everyone that we are here fighting, not just for our families, but for your families and loved ones as well. This has got to stop, not tomorrow, not now, but right now. When are we really going to say enough is enough? We are having more people die from police brutality than we're having people dying from cancers. It's sad. No one should be afraid to leave their homes, to go to the store, to take their child to school, to just have an outside function, or just be walking down the street, minding their business, not knowing whether or not this is going to be the last day of their lives. Because we have people out here that are supposed to protect and serve us, but they don't do anything to protect and serve. We need to do better with getting police officers in line. We need to do more extensive background checks on these people. We need to put into play in how their minds work. Everyone is not afraid of the same thing, But we need to channel and figure out what are these fears that these police officers have that make them feel like they are so afraid that they have to take one of our lives. What makes them tick? What makes them feel as though what they're doing is right? That they have the right to end someone's life just because they're having a bad day? What makes them feel as though that when you do this, you don't just affect one person, you affect everyone around them? With Tyrone West being murdered, you didn't just affect Tyrone, you affected his whole entire family. His children are living without their fathers. And it's sad. Tawanda is living without her brother. I am living without my father-in-law. And what sickens me is because of the simple fact I never got a chance to meet my father-in-law. The first time I ever seen my father-in-law was in a casket. Tell me how that's fair. Tell me how y'all go home every night to your families and hug them and kiss them and tell them bedtime stories or watch a movie with them. Well, we are no longer able to do these things with our families. It's not fair. It's disgusting. And like I said, and I will say it again, these communities have to come forth. We have to stand together, because together we stand, divided we fall. And if we don't stand for something, we're going to fall for anything. We have been letting these people tell us for years that we're out here and our words and our actions don't matter. But in reality, the police, the commissioners, the mayors, all of them work for us. And if we don't speak up, if we don't get out there and put boots on the street and let everybody know their rights, because that's one of the biggest problems. Most of us don't know our rights. And ignorance is fear. People fear what they don't understand. And being as though we don't understand and we're not giving the knowledge and the understanding to the community, that is the reason why we're not as thick as we could be as far as getting this under control. This should have ended decades ago. What they do, and they don't let you know, I'm going to let you know right now. You know what they do in the system? They put a Band-Aid on it. They tell us that they're going to give us justice. They tell us that they're going to do something to try to help us so that these things won't continue to happen to our families. But they do this to shut us up. Because if we see one police officer go to jail, we figure that we've won. No, we have not won until every last police officer that has created a crime against our families, who have murdered us, who have harassed us, who have beat us, who have scarred our children in front of us, until they pay the price and have to go through the consequences of their actions, we have not won. We do not have the victory. But we need to stand together. And we can get the victory as long as we stand together, as long as we keep giving the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding to not just the older ones, but to our youth. It takes a village to raise a child. And if we don't give our children the knowledge and understanding that they need to go forth and be productive in this world, we failed already, because they are our future. And if we allow this to continue to go on without fighting, we won't have a future. We won't have anybody to leave a legacy to. We won't have anybody that's going to stand and fight if we don't give them the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding they need to with this ongoing, disgusting battle. I am so sick and tired of being on here, not only for my family, but seeing new people being brought into this family that we didn't ask to be a part of, but new families that are coming in here, pleading their cases for help, crying over their loved ones, fearing that they might be next. I'm tired of it. It has got to stop. And it starts with us. It starts with the knowledge. It starts with us giving the educational background on these police officers and what they do. It goes back to exposure. Because the one thing that I do know, the devil does not like to be exposed. And if we can expose these demons that walk around every day looking for new victims to add to their list, for us to add to our list of this disgusting crime that some people are so afraid to talk about. I'm here to tell you, I am Nicole Pettiford. Do not be afraid to speak out about your loved ones. Do not be afraid to step forward and help us fight this fight, because this is a fight that can be won. And as long as there is breath in my body, I am going to continue to stand by my sisters and brothers who have been impacted by police brutality. Now, with that being said, I have the second person that I'm bringing on here tonight to give up names on this sad list of police brutality. I call him my papa, but you guys know him as Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill, the floor is yours. Mic check.
Mic check. Good evening. I think before I read the list of people we want to honor who were recently killed by the police, I think Hillary's going to try to speak again and see if she can.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, can you hear me this time?
Hi, Hillary. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you for your patience. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Actually, in response to what Nicole just said, one of the things she talked about was people being aware and informed about the process. And with police brutality, one of the things, not just the police who commit the brutality that's the problem, it's also that supports it. One of the things that used to be the case in Baltimore City, I want everyone to know the change that happened because it gives you some rights, is that allowed the attorneys for the city to have had family members victimized or people who are victimized by the police, and force them to sign what was called a non-disclosure agreement prior to finding. A lot of times what happens is they say, well, just sue the city in criminal cases brought up against the police. And so then they would get the family agreement that said that any money or things that they got that they deserved because their families or they were seriously hurt by the police, they'd sign a non-disclosure agreement that said they. So if you can imagine having horrible trauma happen to you or your family, and then that re-traumatizes. So the West Coalition, a lot of that was wrong. Tawanda Jones spearheaded a group of people to get together that rule in Baltimore City. And so we worked, a team of us, along with a group called Not Without Black Women, Runners for Justice, and a number of other people worked together with some of our city council folks to that would say that they couldn't force people to do non-disclosure agreements. Pushed and it went through. So if your family is a victim or and the city is trying to get you to sign a non-disclosure agreement, you don't have to talk about what happened to your loved one. And we want to make sure a lot of times we have to get together with other groups to work hard to change the law. Individual police officers. It's this whole system that works to execution and shield them from having these stories told. And so I really want to work to change things to make it better so that folks can talk about it. About more information about this, you can look at our website, about the gag order bill. And it was passed with the help of some city council and Sneed, and actually Brandon Scott was a part of it. So some positive feedback about some of the things we've done. And if you want to get involved with West Wednesday, definitely reach out. But we want to continue to do that kind of work as well. So thank you.
You're more than welcome. One other thing that I wanted to ask before my papa comes on here to read that list is, are you able to see any of the comments that people put up about West Wednesday tonight? If you can read some of those comments, that'd be greatly appreciated. Mic check.
Mic check. This is Benjamin. I can see them. I think I can see most of them, and I'll try reading them. Uncle Bill says, welcome Bruce and everyone who's here for West Wednesday. Bruce responds, hi Bill. Maximilian says, hey Tawanda Jones. Judah Adachi is on. He runs the annual Uprising Memorial for Freddie Gray, and he says, Tawanda, sending love and healing for your daughter. Sister Smoke is on. She says, thank you, Nicole, for holding down West Wednesday, and prayers to you, Tawanda, as you care for your daughter. Uncle Bill says, happy birthday, man. Maximilian says, yes, prayers for you and your daughter. Uncle Bill says, honor, remember, and fight for accountability for Timothy Fleming. Sister Smoke says, love and care to you, Angela, and happy birthday to your nephew. Angela says, sending prayers to Tawanda and TT. Linda says, thank you for honoring the lives of Karen Hilton Brown and Karen Blake in DC. And she says, Karen Hilton Brown was killed after being chased in the city on his motorcycle, driving him into another car and killing him. The officer was found guilty of second-degree murder. First time in DC an officer has ever been convicted of murder. If y'all know anything about DC, that's wild. Karen Blake was a 13-year-old middle school student this week who was out late at night with others, possibly trying to break into a car, though the story is evolving. He was killed by a resident who came out of his house with a gun and shot him 3 times. The resident is being treated with kid gloves since he has worked in DC government. Privileges everywhere. Loss of our youth is tragic. With life after release and Harriet's wildest dreams, we are fighting back. We keep us safe. Uncle Bill says you're absolutely right. It's not fair. We have to fight hard to put a stop to police murder and an end to systemic racism that enables police terror. And Linda replies, sorry, the sound was in and out. Killer cops and cell blocks. Thank you for your powerful words, Nicole, says Judah. And Joseph Bannister says she should run for mayor. Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you for those comments that you read, Ben. And I want to say, without further ado, I hate hearing this, but it's something that needs to be said, and it's something that we need to bring awareness to, because as long as you can hear their names, it still has power. We're still letting these families know that we're thinking of them, we love them, we support them in their fight, and we're going to continue to fight as long as we have fight in us. So with that being said, I'm going to bring on Bill. Uncle Bill, my papa, the floor is yours. Mic check.
Mic check. Good evening, everyone. I mentioned last week that the place from which we get the names of people who've been killed by the police is the Washington Post. And the Washington Post reported last week, as I mentioned, that in 2022, the police killed more people around the country than they have ever done in any previous year. And we happen to be, this is my personal opinion, I'm pointing out that we happen to be living under a Democratic administration in the White House, and yet the rate of police brutality is getting even more severe. And I think it's up to us to fight to change this, and that we can't rely on politicians to do this for us. So in the 10 most recent days that have been reported upon, from December the 31st to January the 10th, the police stole 36 lives around the United States. That's more than 3 a day, which is the average. So it's horrific, as we all realize, hearing these names and the number of people. I want to start to uphold the first person that was killed by police during this time frame. He was 27 years old. He was killed by police in Olathe, Kansas on December the 31st. His name was Brandon Lynch.
Brandon Lynch.
On January the 1st in Guilford, New Hampshire, 17 years old, killed by police, Misha Fay.
Misha Fay.
On January the 1st, again in Redlands, California, 32 years old, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
Ashe. In Lillington, North Carolina, on January the 2nd, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
Ashe. On January the 2nd in Brackenridge, Pennsylvania, 28-year-old man killed by police, Aaron Swan Jr.
Aaron Swan Jr.
Thank you. On January the 2nd in Bath Township, Michigan, someone who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
Ashe. Again, on January the 2nd in Lillington, North Carolina, 68 years old, killed by police, Lee Dawson Jr.
Lee Dawson Jr.
Again, on January the 2nd in Gridley, California, 43 years old, killed by police, Baltazar Rubio.
Baltazar
Rubio.
Again, on January the 2nd in Sulphur Springs, Texas, 43 years old, Randy Tadlock.
Randy Tadlock.
Randy Tadlock.
Once again, on January the 2nd, in this case in Perry County, Kentucky, 49 years old, Jerry Preston.
Jerry
Preston.
Once more on January the 2nd in Los Angeles, California, 45 years old, Takar Smith.
Ricard Smith.
I'm sorry, let me say it again more clearly. Takar Smith.
I'm sorry, Takar Smith.
On the next day, January the 3rd in San Jacinto, California, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
Ashe. Again, on the 3rd of January in Phoenix, Arizona, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
Ashe. Once more on January the 3rd in Ridgecrest, California, 46 years old, Kenneth Watkins.
Kenneth Watkins.
Yet again on January the 3rd in Los Angeles, California, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
Ashe. On the 4th of January in Cambridge, Massachusetts, 20 years old, Saeed Faisal.
Saeed
Faisal.
Faisal.
On January the 5th in Frederick, Colorado, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
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 January the 5th again in Hermitage, Tennessee, 54 years old, Mark Capps.
Mark Hatch.
Mark
Last name Capps. Mark Capps.
Hatch. Sorry.
We're doing the best we can. In Laurie, Montana, 44 years old, killed on January the 5th, Brian Mumert.
Brian
Mumert.
I'm not sure how to uphold his last name. I think it's Mumert.
Mumert.
Again on January the 5th in Lansing, Michigan, 35 years old, killed by police, Nicholas Micco.
Nicholas Micco.
Nicholas Micco.
Moving to January 6th in Gadsden, Alabama, 28 years old, Cody Stewart.
Cody Stewart.
Again on January 6th in Hazel Green, Alabama, 50 years old, Ray King.
Ray King.
Ray King.
Again on January the 6th in Watauga, Texas, a man whose age has not yet been given, Aaron Schwartz.
Aaron Schwartz.
Once more on January 6th in Roswell, New Mexico, 20 years old, Nicholas Acosta.
Nicholas Acosta.
On the next day, January 7th in Fort Worth, Texas, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe.
On January the 7th, once more in Statesboro, Georgia, 32 years old, Jules Lee.
Jules Lee.
Jules Lee.
And yet again on January the 7th in Tempe, Arizona, 37 years old, Kenneth Hearn.
Kenneth
Hearn.
Once again, January the 7th, Athens, Georgia, 42 years old, Clinton Burkhalter.
Clinton Burkhalter.
On the next day, January 8th in Reno, Nevada, a man who has not yet been identified. Excuse me, I don't know the gender. Someone who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Once again on January 8th in Los Angeles County, California, 45 years old, Alan Foster.
Alan Foster.
Once again on the 8th in Tustin, California, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
In Faulkner County, Arkansas, again on January the 8th, 53 years old, Scotty Helton.
Scotty Helton.
Helton. On the following day, on January the 9th, in Saratoga Springs, Utah, 50 years old man has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe. Yet again on January the 9th in Noonan, Georgia, 52 years old, Jackie Haynes.
Jackie Haynes.
Once more on January the 9th in Gimon, Oklahoma, 26 years old. I'll try to pronounce his name properly. Chawulthap Mariar.
Chawulthap Mariar.
I think we got it. Very good. Very good that we're honoring him. Of course, it's not good at all that his life was taken by police. On the next day, on January 10th in Kent, New York, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
And this gentleman from Kent, New York, is the last person whose life was stolen by police in the recent period that we're honoring this evening. Nicole, thanks so much for being host tonight. You did a great job. And mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
at this time, I want to see if Ben has any other comments that he would like to read before we go on to the second half of our video. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Let's see. One comment, Maximilian says, things like the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act should have been passed so that other cops and government officials would be more deterred to not engaging in police brutality, police misconduct, and wrongful deaths with no serious crimes being involved at all. And he provides a link in the chat to check that out. Mic check.
Right. Mic check. You guys, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to West Wednesday. I want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to host this. And as you know, it's always done by our beautiful queen sister, Tawanda Jones. And prayers up for her daughter once again for the reason that she couldn't be here tonight to host this West Wednesday. And like she always says, live to love, love to live. I love you all. And once again, we won't stop. We can't stop until killer cops are in cell blocks. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ben for the other part of our video. Good night.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No,
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said, police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the Officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working and working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam, and my sister Dina and her family. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.